Well, I think there's two reasons really. I think historically, of course, Europe, especially Britain, has been inextricably involved in India. So there is a deep connection there. England, for instance, the UK has a huge Indian population. So we were there until 1947, and the shadow still exists of our presence there in many ways. But I think, secondly, more importantly, probably, is that it's a story that uses this idea of a game show that's just everywhere in the world, and it twists it to be about India, really. And so your way in, if you need one, is the game show, very cleverly. It's a universal kind of key that unlocks everything, and then you get India, and I think it's also true that the world is changing, as we know. Like the 19th century was Europe's, the 20th century was America's, and I think we all know that this century is Asia's, So there'll be a growing fascination with China, with India, with Malaysia, with Vietnam, with Cambodia, with Thailand, with, all these emerging economies, and Russia as well. So I think it's a zeitgeist thing, it just fits like that. And the story, of course, is a universal one. It's a love story. And listen, love happens everywhere. We know that. You can't prescribe it, account for it. You just love to see it work its power, Well, we wanted to make it feel as present day as possible. It's also true that India changes so much. Mumbai is changing all the time. So the film's well out of date already. It's such an extraordinary, evolving place. But it also felt very important to make it in real locations and with real people who knew modern-day Mumbai, because it's very different to colonial India. It's very different to the kind of films that Westerners have made there recently, or in the recent past, like Gandhi. It's it's post-colonial India, and we made the film in that way. We took very few crew from the West. We peopled it with Indian crew and with Indian cast, and we tried to be as subjective as possible, i.e. we weren't like trying to be distant on it. So it doesn't try to be a picture of India, it just tries to tell it from the inside. And when you're living there, you don't care about what India looks like, you just care about, can you get the girl that you love? Will she love you? Can you find her? All those, it's just, I don't know where you're from, but wherever you're from, it's like, you don't want to go, you just live your life in the place you're from, So we tried to make it as subjective as possible, If you experience India in a generous way, it's 20 times more generous back to you, And although there were dangers that you wouldn't finish the film, and the chaos would cause huge problems, it didn't in the end. We kind of trusted it, and it gave us back a film way beyond anything we could have expected, It was, first time, And I spent a year there, and that was it. I was just, I don't know whether you've ever been, but it's the most extraordinary place to visit. I mean, it's really, and it's because you imagine that you're going to go there and find out about India. You don't really. What you find out about is about yourself, and that sounds very hippie-ish, but it's true. You find out about yourself. You meet you see terrible things and wonderful things side by side, and you have to deal with them. And that's the test. And they watch you testing yourself. Can you deal with it in the best way? And I think we tried to, and hopefully we did,